Welcome to the Brass and Woodwind Shop. It is quite common on flutes to have dents in the head joints, and those dents may look bad, but usually they're not too hard to get out. There is a tool made just for that purpose. It's called a flute head joint mandrel. There are two dents in this head joint. There's one right there, and that has a sharper crease in it. And then on the other side, there's another dent. That dent is smoother. It's pushed in, but it does not have a crease in it. For both of those types of dent, the flute head joint mandrel will work well. If you have a dent in the head joint where the cork is, you'll need to pull that out so that you can get at the dent. The part of the head joint that goes into the body of the flute is cylindrical, and starting about right here, it starts to taper down and it gets smaller towards this end of the flute. Because of that, the flute head joint mandrel sometimes is too small to get into this area, so sometimes you may need to use a trumpet mandrel that will fit into the end of the flute better. But the flute head joint mandrel works well on most dents. I put the mandrel in the vise. Now I'm going to get the smoother dent out. And on smoother dents, usually you use the top of the mandrel more than you use the point of the mandrel. So I'm going to put that in a little past the dent and push down. What I'm doing is with this hand, I'm pushing down. With the other hand, I'm holding this down, and I'm using that for leverage. And I'm pushing on the dent. And you can see that it came out a lot of the way already. After it's out part of the way, I'm going to use more of the tip of the mandrel. So I'm going to put that on there and find where the tip is. And I'm going to run it back and forth over the dent. And I'm being careful not to push too hard. When you're doing this job, you need to know where the mandrel is and how hard you're pushing. When I'm starting at one end of the dent, I'm pushing harder. Then I lighten up the force towards the middle of the dent. And then I get a little harder towards the end of the dent too. So I'm doing all this when I'm going back and forth over the dent. You can't just push and hope the dent comes out. You push down on the low spots on the head joint. This dent is most of the way out. There's a little bit of a high spot there, and it's not bad. I'm going to go over it one more time and push up the low spots from the inside. That dent has been removed. The next dent is the sharper dent, and for that one I'm going to use more of the end of the mandrel than the side of the mandrel. I'll put that on there, then find where the dent is. Then I'm using this hand for leverage and this hand to push down on the dent. On the sharp dents, you need to push harder to get the dent out. And this is probably towards the end of where this mandrel is effective. I may get out a trumpet mandrel to try to finish up this dent. Since the trumpet mandrel has a smaller diameter, there will be the same amount of force put on a smaller area underneath the dent. So that's going to push the dent out a little faster. I have to find where the dent is. Okay, it's right there. Then I'm going to push that dent out. And it might be hard to see in the video, but this dent is coming out. There's the dent, and the dent is out about as good as it's going to get. Flute head joint dents are some of the easier dents to get out, but still it requires a little bit of practice to get good at it. Most of the dents, unless they're really bad dents, you can get out with these two tools. I hope this video has been helpful. Please subscribe for more band instrument repair videos.